Welcome to Episode 16, Who E1 is and Who it is not, where we set clear expectations about the essential assurance pathway. E1 is the fast, foundational option that verifies core hygiene without dragging a small team through months of heavy testing. It lets organizations prove that the basics work across identity, endpoints, vulnerability handling, backups, and logging. Buyers see credible evidence, and teams keep momentum for real improvements. The key idea is fit for purpose. E1 is not a shortcut around discipline, but it is purposely lighter than programs that demand broad, deep implementation proof. When you know what E1 covers and what it does not, you can meet customer asks without overcommitting. That clarity protects schedules, budgets, and trust while leaving a clean path to grow later. E1 fits many organizations because it targets the controls that prevent the most common incidents and that most customers expect to see first. It favors coverage of essentials over exhaustive checks in every corner of the estate. That design keeps the price and effort proportionate for companies that must show they are safe to do business with, even if they are early in maturity. For teams working across multiple customers, E1 reduces questionnaire fatigue by producing a recognizable assurance artifact. It also creates a stepping stone toward deeper levels by establishing scope, owners, and an evidence rhythm. When core safeguards are visible and repeatable, many buyer concerns vanish. E1 makes that outcome reachable without slowing daily work. Small teams needing rapid assurance are often the best candidates for E1. They have real security work to do, but limited staff to chase and format evidence for months. E1 sets a clear bar, focuses effort on the few controls that matter most, and produces an output that partners accept. The pace fits environments where the same people run systems, answer tickets, and meet with customers. Because the scope is intentionally tighter, leaders can assign owners and finish tasks without burning out their staff. The experience also teaches evidence habits that pay off in later cycles. For many small teams, E1 is the first sustainable path from ad hoc claims to reliable assurance. Startups handling limited, protected data benefit from E1 because it matches their scale and risk surface. These organizations may process small volumes of sensitive records or operate single-product platforms with straightforward architectures. They need to show that identity, device hardening, patching, backups, and logging are not just words in a pitch deck. E1 provides that demonstration without requiring a fully developed measurement regime on day one. Investors and early customers gain confidence that essentials are in place, and the company avoids freezing product velocity under an oversized audit. As the business grows, the E1 foundation becomes the base for future levels, saving time because scope, artifacts, and owners are already known. That sequence aligns assurance with the startup arc. Vendors early in security maturity often struggle to translate intent into credible proof. E1 helps by turning the conversation from abstract policies to visible safeguards that can be checked quickly. Teams learn to write short procedures, capture screenshots with context, and pull clean exports with dates and filters. They also learn to name scope honestly and set exceptions with owners and end dates rather than hiding gaps. This discipline builds the muscle needed for the implemented and risk-based levels later. Meanwhile, customers receive a signal that real controls exist today. It is a practical bridge from "we plan to" toward "we do," and it makes the next steps easier rather than harder. Prerequisites for E1 are basic but non-negotiable. The organization needs an inventory of systems in scope, simple policies and procedures that match reality, and the ability to collect objective evidence with timestamps and system identifiers. Identity must be governed, endpoints must be managed, vulnerabilities must be addressed on a schedule, backups must be tested, and logging must be centralized for priority sources. These are not extravagant requirements, but they must be real and repeatable. When these basics are shaky, E1 will expose problems that feel bigger than expected. Teams that prepare by tightening these fundamentals find the assessment straightforward and the outputs useful beyond the certificate itself. There are clear cases when E1 is insufficient. If a customer asks for broad implementation proof across many systems, or if your risk profile involves complex integrations and sensitive workloads, the essential level may undersignal. E1 does not aim to provide deep sampling across every segment or to show measured and managed maturity across the board. If stakeholders expect that depth, you will find yourself adding ad hoc work that looks like a different level but carries none of its structure. In that situation, it is better to step up to the right program than to bend E1 beyond its design. Using the wrong tool creates confusion and slows trust. High-risk or regulated environments often require more than essential hygiene. Hospitals, payment processors, large data platforms, and companies with significant contractual security clauses usually need implemented or risk-based assurance. They must show consistent operation across large populations and defend maturity with metrics and management cycles. E1 can be a useful interim step for a subset or a pilot, but it will not satisfy the depth expected for these environments. Leaders in such settings should plan a path that begins with quick wins while funding the work needed for deeper proof. Matching assurance level to impact protects both the organization and its customers. Complex architectures and multi-entity structures also push beyond E1. When multiple subsidiaries, regions, or cloud providers are in scope, the coordination and evidence needs grow quickly. Shared responsibility and inheritance add layers that demand more rigorous testing and traceability. In these cases, implemented or risk-based programs provide the framework to test widely while keeping results explainable. Trying to compress that reality into an essential program can hide variation that later surprises buyers. A better route is to use E1 for contained areas while preparing the broader program to handle the full mesh of systems and teams. That approach respects complexity without losing speed. Some customers explicitly require implemented controls and broader coverage, which places the request beyond E1 by definition. Procurement language may ask for evidence that controls operate across the estate, or for maturity marks that include measured or managed states. When buyers publish these expectations, pushing an essential level will likely cause delays or extra reviews. The practical move is to confirm requirements early, show current capability with E1 if acceptable, and propose a clear path to the next level with dates and milestones. Honesty about scope and timing earns more trust than an ill-fitting certificate. Aligning to stated buyer needs prevents churn later. Timeline and effort expectations for E1 are modest but still real. Teams should plan focused weeks to finalize scope, collect artifacts, and respond to reviewer questions. Evidence must be current and traceable, even if the volume is lighter than other programs. Owners will spend time aligning screenshots, exports, and narratives to requirement statements. A project manager keeps cadence with short stand-ups and weekly checkpoints. With preparation, E1 moves at a pace that preserves daily operations. Without preparation, even a small program can stall on missing owners, unclear scope, or unlabeled files. Treat E1 as a project with milestones, not as a side task, and the schedule will hold. Typical deliverables and outcomes from E1 include a certification letter and a concise report that buyers can rely on. The letter is the quick proof for vendor onboarding, while the report explains scope and shows how essentials were verified. Internally, teams leave with cleaner inventories, clearer procedures, and a repeatable evidence kit. Externally, sales cycles tighten because many security questions are answered by the package. The outcome is credibility calibrated to the program's size and risk. That credibility is portable, which means fewer custom questionnaires and faster renewals. The deliverables prove value beyond the immediate assessment. Decision criteria to choose E1 are straightforward. Consider data sensitivity, customer expectations, architecture complexity, and team capacity. If protected data volume is limited, buyers are asking for essential proof, architecture is simple, and staff can invest a focused few weeks, E1 is likely the right start. If any of those factors scale up, plan either a quick E1 for near-term deals with a committed path to the next level, or move directly to a deeper program. Write the choice down with reasons, owners, and dates so it is a plan, not a hope. Clear criteria prevents second-guessing midstream. Choose E1 with intent, not by default. Use it to establish trust quickly, teach evidence habits, and build a base for growth. Do not stretch it to cover scenarios that need broader implementation proof or deeper maturity scoring. Confirm buyer expectations early, align scope to real risk, and set a cadence that your team can sustain. When used deliberately, E1 becomes the right size first step that reduces redundancy, speeds deals, and prepares your organization for the levels that follow. The result is momentum with credibility and a clear runway to expand assurance as your environment and obligations grow.